Welcome to another episode of Redesigning Life. Today I have MaryAnn DiMarco, who's been on Redesigning Life before, if she sounds familiar. And I am so excited because I feel very blessed that I get to call you my friend. And I got to hang out with you what was it, last week?
Yeah.
And you gave me your book, which I love so much. Look, I'm even using your pen.
Oh, I'm so glad.
MaryAnn, if you've listened to her podcast before, if you know who she is, you know who she is. But if you don't, you're a psychic medium, a best-selling author, may I add. You're an amazing woman. You're super powerful. You let people, you teach people to tune into their own wisdom, but they're also their spirit guides, which is what this book is about. I just adore you. I love who you are. I love what you teach. So I, of course, I'm excited, but first of all, just thank you for being here.
Oh, no. Thank you for having me. I
This is,
love you. You're my beautiful soul sister.
I
I'm so
know, I
glad we
feel,
got to connect too in person. We never get to see each other in person, so that was so special. And I'm just really thrilled to be here. I love these conversations with you and thrilled to share it.
this book is fantastic. I had it on my nightstand. So you sent me one and you gave me one when I saw you, but then you sent me one. So I have two. But Gabby Bernstein, who's a friend of yours,
Mhm.
wrote the foreword and she spoke about people craving wisdom. How did this book, for people who haven't gotten it yet, like how did this book come to be at that point in your life, which was you were going through a lot of stuff. So can you tell readers a little bit about what this book is about?
This book is about not only connecting with guides, but understanding what those spirit guides are here to do. And they're here to help highlight our higher self, the story that we came here knowing. And when I was coming up with the idea to write this book along with my guides, I myself was relying very heavily on their own guidance. And so we collaborated, just like I always do, with my guides to come up with information that not only I was learning in real time, but that's something that I can give over and teach. And that's what I hope this book lends over to readers, is that there's information in here that's going to help you hear those voices within that higher self and the surrounding love that the universe is here to give you.
So I think I told you I talk to my spirit guides and I feel like I have my whole life but I think after I did a plant medicine journey and now I meditate a lot that I feel like I'm tapped in immediately. But I think probably some people who are listening to this probably think we're witches. Or like a little or
I'm
they
okay with that.
I'm looking with that too, but or it'd be like, what are you talking about? So if somebody's listening to this and they maybe think like there's no such thing as spirit guides or they've never talked to their spirit guides, like, can we make this a little like I don't want to say dumb it down because my
No,
listeners
we
are not
can dial it back. I said we dial it back just a little bit.
okay. So let's dial it back a little bit for people who are new to this whole spirit guides shenanigans.
Yeah, let's do that. Spirit guides are our universal team on the other side that are here to help us navigate our lives. They're here to highlight our higher voice, what we already know to be true. And it's not something that, yes, they are outside of ourselves and that they are energies and entities on the other side. However, they are part of who we are in our own self. They're just helping us understand our story and what we came here to do. They're comprised of angels, higher energies, spirit guides, and yes, our loved ones too, but they all have different voices and something different to offer.
Are they this okay? Do you have the same spirit guides your whole life?
You've the way I have read it is that we have one spirit guide that ushers us in and ushers us out. I talk about mine in the book. I name him Joe. Don't ask me why, but I explain it in the book. And then there are guides that are assigned to us. And they can come for various reasons. Some of them are helping us with our communication. Some of them are helping us with our own spiritual connection. They're helping us with the challenges and the soul contracts of our lives, doubt, fear, all kinds of things that we came here to learn. Celebrations too. I mean, we want to remember all the good things too that we came here to experience. And our guides are there to help us co-create and manifest the most ultimate and wonderful timelines that we're trying to achieve in this space.
Yeah, so that's why I was asking, and I know you touch on this, but if you have this one, like, I don't know, personal spirit assistant with you at all times. Like there are other experts or whatever that are coming in at different times of the life. In the book, you frame it sort of as a road trip. The packed bags, the detours, everything that you were going on in your life. Would you consider, or would you describe that same journey that you have with your spirit guides?
Everything that's going on in my life.
Yeah, because you were talking about like not only the moving to Florida,
Oh,
but
yeah.
you losing Phoenix, menopause, all the stuff that you were going through your own road trip. Do you go through that same? Why? I guess the question is, why was that the way that you imagine that road trip the same way you describe your journey with the spirit guides?
I started to think about how we are the co-creators of our universe. And sometimes we hear like, God take the wheel or universe take the wheel. And I started to think, no, they're kind of the backseat drivers. We are actually taking the wheel. And so as I was starting to come up with how I wanted to lay this out in a very relatable way, I thought, well, we're all on this road trip. And everybody is so caught up in the destination. We're very instant gratification type of society. And I thought, well, we're missing the scenery. We're missing everything that's around us. And that's how the road trip came into play, because I thought as we're driving, let's take a look around at each exit and see what we're supposed to be learning here. And the ultimate destination is really when we transition, that we are forever on this kind of cool road trip. And why not pause and learn and understand what our soul came here to experience?
So you're talking about what your soul came to experience, and you talk about, all of the stuff that you were dealing with in your own personal life. But I think people who are like, well, you're a psychic medium, shouldn't you know? And you should be
Sure.
be happy all the time because
All the time. I should be floating on my meditation cloud, and I should just be like chilling with my loved ones and feeling all this wonderful self-gratification. It is so far from the truth. And I think it's an incredible misconception that we're kind of seeing out there, that, spiritual people are somehow finding this ultimate balance and utopia in life. And the fact of the matter is that spiritual awakenings and deeper understanding of self can be quite unraveling. I was literally being challenged by having to move and going on road trips and understanding this part of my life that was causing me to be so unnerved in many areas. And it also made me stop and reflect on things that I had been through in life that I didn't even realize I was using my guides to understand. And some of those things that I chose to get curious about included bringing in these energies and having them highlight what it was that I need to be working on. Our soul contracts are very important. And that's what brought me to all the different themes too in the book of what I found to be part of my soul contract. And most of them are pretty relatable.
Okay, so soul contracts. So what does that mean?
We all come here and we sign up for something to learn, and we have soul contracts, and the contracts can be feelings and experiences that can come up. Well, I shouldn't say experiences. I always want to say, I think we can sign up for things like doubt and fear, and am I right about imposter syndrome and comparison and self-worth and scarcity, everything that I was being challenged with. How those things come into fruition, the experiences, I think, are at the good grace of the universe, because honestly, I don't know who would come back. So I just want to be clear on that I think we sign up for sort of what it is our soul came here to learn, and the experiences are kind of given to us. And when I realized that I was having these repetitive patterns in my life, that I kept sort of choosing the same thing that didn't serve me, that every time my story started to annoy me and my own voice started to annoy me, that this was probably a soul contract that was being reflected to me. Instead of getting annoyed with it, I decided to get to work with it. And I used my guides to do that.
What does that look like? Okay, using your guides. So like tap us in.
What it looks like for me and how I teach it in the book is, first, we want to find a belief system. We want to be secure in the fact that, and the truth and the knowledge of having within you that this is something that we're all capable of doing, that each and every one of us can make a connection to our spirit guides, to source, whatever that looks like for you, to our loved ones. You do not have to be a psychic medium to do it. You also don't have to be like super heightened and spiritual, that this is just something that you can incorporate intuitively into your everyday life. And I want people to really know that, because I think that it brings an authenticity to any type of practice that resonates with you most. It's who you are. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. These are suggestions that you can use, and feel free to modify to make it work for yourself. And then I started to, when I first started doing readings, I mean, I started seeing guides around people. So I was very used to reading them for others. And then I started to really go within and understand who my guides were and what it is that I was ready to work on. And so when these repetitive themes started coming up, I started to understand I asked my guides, how can I work with this? What is this? And I realized I was asking who, what, where, when, why. I got really curious about, where did some of these situations start? When did these feelings start for myself? And I was being brought to younger ages, different times in my life, different experiences. And I was seeing how it didn't serve me, how it did serve me. And instead of repeating the pattern over and over again, I chose to learn. And I chose to see what it was my guides were trying to teach me. And then it all became very productive. Good, bad, or indifferent, I was learning. And I decided to apply it to any situation that was going on into my life now. So really what it is, to your point, is it's not that I have some magical answers. I just am choosing to answer differently. I'm using the tools that I have learned through spirituality and being a psychic medium, yes, and applying that to my life.
In the beginning of the book, you were talking about how the whole idea of this book came to you, of just your spirit guides were telling you to write this book, right?
They always do. They're very fresh. They love to just kind of make me work on a project that books aren't easy for me. I don't know. But they keep making me write them. It's really funny. It starts with write a book. I always hear that.
Feel like walk me through what it actually feels like, or list, like, how does it?
So when I connect with spirit, I use all of my clairs, my clairaudience. So I'm hearing, I am seeing, I am feeling, and clairs, the senses. You use all of your senses when you're looking to make connection. How does it feel in your body? What do you think they're telling you? Use your imagination, because they're using your imagination, your stories, your life as frame of reference in order to get your attention. What are the repetitive signs you're seeing? We want to pay attention to all of this. So when I wrote my first book, second book, and now this one, it was always the same. I heard my guide say to me, it's time to write a book. And then another person would say to me, you should write a book about what you're talking about right now. And then I would feel the need or the pull in my claircognizance and on my knowing to jot down an idea. And then in the middle of the night, which was what happened with the guides book, I heard the title of the book is The Guides Book. Okay, great. And so then I write that down. And it's my process. It's been my process with every single one of my books. And then I sit with spirit and I download the information and I help put it all together. They help me put it all together, and they bring me the people, honestly, to help me put it all together. I wrote with a wonderful woman named Shandika, and I put it all together. And that's how I write books. It's always been the process for all of them.
So when I did my plant medicine journey, I kept calling it downloads, and I've realized a lot of people call it the same way, because it just feels like a knowing. And you don't hear, like, I don't hear a voice being like, hey, Sabrina.
Well, yeah, it's not a disembodied voice. I always tell people, it's not like, hello,
right.
If it is, get some sage out and figure out what's going on, because I don't want to hear disembodied voices.
Right. So I don't want people to listen to this and be like, oh my gosh, she's listening to voices. It feels just like a knowing, like it's like a message in your head, right?
Spirit comes in your own voice, and sometimes it could feel different. It absolutely can. It does for me sometimes. But for the most part, spirit is coming in, and they are putting that idea in your mind, and they're highlighting it. I always say to people, if you say to yourself, I think I want to write a book, and it keeps coming up. If you turn that around and put it as if someone's speaking to you, you should write a book. You could start to hear it. You could start to make that switch, and then you're starting to hear someone speaking to you. So I always tell people, when you're writing, when you're journaling or automatic writing, direct download from spirit and putting it down on paper, act as if someone's speaking to you, right? As if someone's speaking to you. And then you'll start to be able to discern the difference between your own mind and what it is that they're highlighting with you. So
Right.
there is a difference.
So for some like beginners, like never done anything like this, like can you share one practice that you would recommend to somebody who's just beginning? Like, hey, this sounds like interesting. I'd love to get, like in touch with my spirit guide. What is like the best starting point for beginners?
I think the best starting point for beginners is I like to write. And you can write a question at the top of the page. Just get a paper and a pen. Don't do this on your phone. Don't do it on your computer. We want to go old school. We want a pen, a nice piece of paper, or a nice journal, something. And I want you to write, what is it that you want me to know? At the top of the page. Or you can write, who are you? And you want to cue to your guides, I'm ready to listen now. I am saying yes. I am welcoming you into my space. And then from there, I want you to pay attention to, again, all of your senses. What are you feeling? What do you think you're hearing? What are you seeing? Are you seeing your guide and what they may look like? And jot it down. Even if it's just a description. If you're a list maker, make a list. It doesn't matter. Do this for like maybe 5 minutes. And then lead into a space of acceptance that this is truth, that this is what's happening. And what we're starting to do here, Sabrina, is we are exercising a muscle, just like anything else. It's going to take some time. So be a little patient, especially if you're just starting out. Guided meditations are also a great way to do this. I have meditations in the book. It is also on Audible. So you can listen to some guided meditations, and that way someone is sort of helping you along. They're helping you with the idea and the visualization of what it could look like to meet your guides. I love meeting my guides in meditation in a temple. I create the temple. I like to create a seating area with them. You can make it look like whatever you want it to. You could design it however you like, Sabrina, make it look gorgeous, right? Because as you do all things, and just put it all together. And then create a seating area and then invite your guide to come in and sit with you. And again, be curious. Who are you? What is it that you want me to know? And just allow yourself to sit and receive the messages. Try not to chase the information. Try not to struggle through it. Just sit and receive. That's why I always recommend maybe 5 minutes tops to start. This way it doesn't feel like such, it doesn't, right. This way it doesn't feel like such hard work.
You talked about losing Phoenix in the book, and we were talking about it earlier. So Phoenix was your golden retriever.
The best.
And I lost Harper last year. Tomorrow it'll be a year. We talked about it when we met for coffee. Like the pain that I felt losing Harper that grief was unlike any other pain I've been through in my life. I cried about her yesterday. I felt foolish about crying over a dog that I lost a year ago. How did that change you as a human, and even just like spiritually? How did that grief change your soul?
Phoenix and I went through a lot together. Phoenix came into my life when I was in a huge transition. I was in the middle of a divorce, and it was just a really tough time. When dogs come in from the other side and I see like tears in their ears, as if they were helping us wipe the tears with their ears, I know that they were kind of like they came in at a very therapeutic moment. And that was Phoenix for me. Losing him I talk about having to make the decision to let him go and how that came to be and all the signs that I got, which I was so grateful from the universe. Did it help my grief? No. I was so sad and so heartbroken, and I cried my eyes out when I lost my Phoenix. And to your point, I said to you when we got on, I just got upset about him yesterday. And it's been almost a year and a half, I guess, almost 2 years maybe, that I've lost him. And it's just difficult. It's like any other grief. You know, there's something about animals that give us such unconditional love. There's no question in what they give us. They're not judging us. You know, we're sort of walking through the door and they're like, I love you. You know, there's just this wonderful way about them. And I had a huge attachment to my sweet boy. And it's just like losing a loved one in a very different way. I have people who come to me for medium readings who cry really hard over their animals, sometimes more than loved ones that have passed. I think the relationship,
I
Yeah,
wasn't even like, it wasn't normal the way I was acting.
it was though. It
No,
was.
you
I've
didn't see
seen it.
me.
Honey, I can assure you. I mean, I sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. And I think it has something to do with that beautiful unconditional love. They just don't question us. They just
Yeah.
love us no matter what. And that's a really safe space to be around.
Do you ever, okay, so when it comes to mediumship, do you feel, obviously you connect with humans, do you connect with pets as well?
Oh, all the time. Yeah, absolutely. I remember one of my first readings I was doing, I used to read in like restaurants and bars and stuff when I first started out. And I said to this woman, your dog said, and she said, what do you mean my dog said? Kind of, what are you talking about? And yeah, they've always come in through readings, and I find it pretty incredible. I think it's really neat.
And I think I asked you this the first time that you were on the podcast. When it comes to crossing over and reincarnation, can we dumb this down again for me? Because I am not the best student. So here's my question. Uncle Bob dies. Okay. I am heartbroken. I call you. You talk to Uncle Bob. Uncle Bob's up in wherever in that other zone. And then if Uncle Bob now wants to come back as Beatrice in Wisconsin, how
Huh.
do you still talk to Uncle Bob when now he's Beatrice?
I love that he's Beatrice in Wisconsin. It's very interesting. Here's how I see it. I usually see up to great grandparents, depending on who I'm reading and their age. I don't normally see past that. One thing we have to remember about the other side is the time is very different. The time is, it's not the same. There is no time.
What does
So
that mean?
it means that there's something to be said about it being, much more fluid. What we see as time here is not the same as there. And I think that might have something to do with what you're talking about. Of course, these are theories. It's not something that I myself could sit here and tell you I've experienced. But I can only say that through readings and what I have heard just through my guides and in my own experience and learning is that it has something to do with the fact that there is no time on that other side. And so when we talk about reincarnation, what might seem like a quick turnaround here might be very much longer there. But I wonder sometimes about how quick somebody can come back. I think it's very contractual. I think it depends on a soul's choice sometimes and what they're experiencing. I also believe that we have soul packs so that we travel together, the same souls, good, bad, or indifferent. We will run into each other again. So I don't know how Bob would be Beatrice at some point, but it could
But
happen.
can you still talk to Bob if he's here on Earth as Beatrice?
This is like going to sound really wooey, but this is how I see it. It's funny, interesting. Somebody else just asked me this question. It doesn't normally come up. The way I see it is, do I think that I am speaking to loved ones and souls on the other side? Absolutely. Can it be both, and that sometimes I may be reading the story of a soul and who they were? Yes, but for me, it would not come in like the loved one is standing there. In other words, I would be speaking about Bob instead of from Bob.
Got it.
And that might be from another person on the other side. So let's say Bob's sister was passed. She might be talking about Bob. And that's how we're making the connection there. It doesn't happen often, though, I have to tell you, very rarely. I have a grandmother that's passed, and I'm pretty sure she has ascended. I don't think she has returned to this space, and I don't feel like she has reincarnated, but I also don't think that she is on the plane from which I read from. I think she has ascended onto different parts of her soul's existence. And when other people read her from me, I don't know that they're necessarily reading her energy in its existence, like on the other side. I think they are reading her story. I could feel it in my claircognizance, in my gut, the difference. It's very particular to being a medium and how you read and how you discern the difference. But I can tell you it does not happen often for me at all. I'm usually reading right from that loved one, or someone else, another loved one, is talking about someone else who has passed.
I don't know why I didn't call you when Harper passed. I ended up, a friend of mine, Krista Williams, set me up with her pet psychic or medium. And she said, like, I had to wait 2 weeks after Harper passed.
Okay.
And I'm like, I wonder why that is. Maybe because I was in such grief and despair. I mean,
Sure. I mean, sometimes it's just a style in which a medium reads. You know, it's not necessarily something that is about energy. I have read people in energy that died the day before, day of. I've even
oh,
read.
really?
But I do believe that there is a time for life review. We can feel a disconnection to that energy. Yes, grief absolutely plays a factor. I actually love that person told you to just wait a couple of weeks because it allows your energy to readjust just a tad. You know, when we are in grief and deep grief, our vibration is very, very low. And what we're doing with our loved ones is we're kind of raising and they're lowering, we're raising, and we're sort of meeting them in the middle. And sometimes grief can be a little tough to read from when it's that deep. So yeah, that's
I
very,
don't know
very
why
helpful.
I was very angry during that time.
Yeah, that's another lower vibration. Yeah, so it's smart to kind of let somebody just have a hot minute and then go in and with the read. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even want to tell you the story because I'm going to sound like a really horrible person. But I was just I was angry at anybody. Anybody who made eye contact with me during that time, I'm sorry.
That's grief.
Oh, it was the worst.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
that's
when you
grief.
see, like, I wish you were seeing Harper now, but I also had another friend that passed not 3 months ago the other day from, and like, do you see them here or do you feel them?
I always see spirit around somebody like a family tree, like this. That's how I read mediumship readings.
But you like see their face?
I see it in my mind's eye. So my third eye can see
Okay.
it. Once in a while, I'll see things with the naked eye, but it's very rare. Takes a lot of energy for them to kind of show up in apparition. And it's not always a favorite of mine, by the way. I don't really love to see apparition. Sometimes it can come in as like a mist, like a cloudy mist, light sprigs. If you're mediums out there, and you know what I'm talking about, little sprigs of light, sprites of light, sprigs. I don't know what the word is, but little like that, little bursts of light. I can see that. But usually when I'm reading somebody, I'm not looking for that because it's a distraction, quite honestly. What I'm looking for is where they're drawing to me. So are they drawing me to your mother's side of the family? Are they drawing me to your father's side of the family? Am I above you? So am I reading someone older? Am I to your side? So is it a contemporary? Is it below you? Children and pets, things like that. The next step is that I would start to feel what information is coming through. So now that I've honed in on an area, what information is coming through? Am I being like, so right now I'm being brought to an energy that's lower than you, and I'm feeling like lots of problems with digestion, lots of problems in the stomach area, then they're kind of making it really solid. This might be your dog that I'm starting to pick up on, right? And, you know, talking about not being able to eat, talking about that being really annoying, you know, at that time. And so that's how I start. And they'll just sort of put the breadcrumbs out for me. And my job is to not orchestrate all of that. My guides orchestrate that. My job is to just follow the breadcrumbs that they give me and then translate that information over with care, concern, and compassion. And it is your dog. That's coming up for me as I'm reading. So yeah, so, you know, because now I'm explaining it. So of course I open up right away, right? Because I'm starting to just use my psychic senses, my mediumship senses, and all the things. Very, very happy dog, by the way. Like hardtail, like really like the butt goes back and forth super, super fast. And Harper talking about, is this okay that we kind of do this part? Okay. Harper talking about, let her know I was breathing peacefully. Wants to bring something up about the breath and having a peaceful moment. So even though we might see what the body was going through, right, Harper, really wants you to know how peaceful she felt. And I don't know about you, but I was face to face with my dog as he was passing. And so she put you face to face like that. And she said, even her paws feel better. There's something about, you understand?
Look what I have right here. I had to put socks on her at the end of her life, and I smell it still.
Oh, it's so sweet. So she said, even my paws feel better. Even my paws feel better. Yeah, she's fine. You know, thing about them is that they're all fine. Our loved ones, it's us that are sitting here going,
it's honestly, a lot of the grief came from shame, not shame, guilt. guilt of after she passed and she took her last breath, this guttural scream came out of my body that I had never heard before. And I felt bad. Like, poor thing was just passing and I'm like screaming in her ear, like
Yeah.
it's those human things that we do to ourselves that are so silly.
Well, grief is grief. And I think that we have to remember that it's okay to express that grief however we like, and that it's incredibly personal, that no one can tell us how to grieve. What I always want to tell people is that however we have chosen to do that, know that your loved one understands. There's no judgment. You didn't affect their passing in any way by the way that you chose to grieve. Their passing is very individual and it is incredibly personal and it is theirs. However, the love that you gave her, that cheek to cheek, everything you gave her, she experienced. So I always tell people, often loved ones will show me rubbing of the hands or music playing or the family around and that love, or I give you now permission to go. I've heard that a lot. All the things that we give our loved one is totally accepted and absolutely beautiful. But how we experience it, your guttural cry, the anger. I have a friend whose husband passed, so young, and she's pissed off. I don't blame her. I'm like, go be angry. Yeah. That's okay. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to have a guttural scream. We just want to be able to coexist with our grief and just try not to let it overtake you, who you are in the moment. That's really all. Stay above water as best you can.
I stayed home. I stayed home for a few days.
You needed to.
You talk about, like, you saying that you caution against using like a magic 8-ball or anything like that, or even like,
well, I say I'm not your magic 8-ball.
Right.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
Even some psychics too. So tell me a little bit about that.
I highly encourage people to go to a psychic medium if they feel so called to do. What I don't want, or what I encourage people to do, honestly, is to not rely on a psychic medium for your answers.
Why?
Because we have the answers within ourselves. Because we ourselves have the ability to find those answers. That's the point. If you want to go to a psychic. When I first started doing readings, people would say to me, "Oh, can I come back, next month?" And I'd say, "No, I'll see you next year." I didn't really understand that. And what it felt like was that they were looking to me through spirit, of course, to give them their next point of action of some sort.
The next step.
And right out of the gate, when I started working with spirit, it was a no for me. And they made me feel that really hardcore. And now I understand it's because I teach so much. You have the answers within you. You do not need to go to a psychic medium in order to continue to get those answers. By all means, go to someone word of mouth that someone has had a great experience with. Have the experience, take in the messages. Hopefully you're getting a takeaway where you're learning something or you're hearing something that brought you to a space of healing in some way. Whatever it is for you, I hope the experience is fantastic. And then learn how to do that for yourself. Yeah. And then when you go to a psychic, it's validation. All a psychic medium is doing is, well, psychic-wise, is validating what you yourself already know. If I'm giving someone an energy type psychic information from their guides, usually what they're saying to me is, yeah, that makes sense, because they already know it. This is separate from mediumship, but they already know it to be true. They already have this feeling. So really a psychic is coming in and validating what you yourself know to be true. It should sit well in the body. You should be able to feel it physically and mentally and emotionally. It should just sit well with you. That's all it is. And that's why I write the books that I write. That's why I wrote Media Mentor. It's why I wrote this book. I want people to have that empowerment within them. We are the light.
Right. We outsource a lot of our own wisdom.
And not only that, we can get habitual with it. And that's the concern for me. I think when you go to any type of healer or psychic medium, or you're seeking spirituality in whatever form works for you, this is a tool. This is supposed to be helping you build your own abilities, sharpen your own tools, become aware of what your intuitive self can do. And once you learn how to do that, you will be forever empowered.
Yeah. And
so I think what I'm trying to say is I'm just sort of helping you put the empowerment back in yourself. Don't ever give your power over to anybody else.
It's so true. It's so true. Just tap in. You know what? if you're listening to this, just be quiet for 5 minutes of your day. That's a great start.
Receive instead of reaching, I always say.
Where can people get the book?
They can get the book on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, at HachetteBooks.com. It's, it's all over the place.
The guidebook, I will, if you're listening to this and driving, walking, as always, I put it in the notes how you can get in touch with MaryAnn. I am just lucky that I get to text you if I want to.
That's because we're besties.
And until next time, thank you, MaryAnn.
Thank you so much for having me. I love you.